Welcome to Fatima Today. This edition of Fatima Today is very special. We have with us Archbishop John Barwa from India, from Orissa. Welcome to our program. And you have an article here in our Fatima Crusader magazine about your talk at our conference. But perhaps you can tell us a little bit about yourself and about Orissa.
Thank you, Father Brunner. And as you already said, I am John Barwa, SVD, Archbishop of Cuttack, Bhubaneswar, and I was born in the year 1955, 1st June, in a village, rural village called Rengali in the state of Orissa. My parents, simple, God-fearing people, but very religious. We were 8 children of my parents, but my next to me younger girl passed away lately. We are 2 boys and 6 girls, and parents very hardworking. They educated all of us, and I grew in a village and did my schooling, and my family was a religious Catholic family. My grandfather onwards, I believe we have accepted Jesus and became Catholics. And after my schooling, 11th standard, I joined the university, finished the university in the year 1976, joined the seminary and joined the Society of the Divine Word, SVD. And after my seminary preparations and studies, I was ordained in the year 1985 on April 14th by my predecessor Archbishop, who was Bishop then, Most Reverend Raphael Chinath, whom I have succeeded today. After ordination as a priest, I worked 2 years in the diocese, Catholic Diocese of Rourkela in the state of Orissa, where most of the Catholics are tribals. Almost 99% of the Catholics are tribals. I worked for 2 years as assistant parish priest in 2 different places, and 88 I joined the regional pastoral center for whole of Orissa, 5 dioceses of Orissa. After 3 years working in the pastoral center, I came to Rome to do my licentiate in liturgy, which I completed in 1993 as I came in 90. Returned to the same pastoral center and continued again 6 years. During that time, I was also elected as the Vice Provincial of the Eastern Indian Province, and I remained in this office for 3 years. During that time also, I taught liturgy in the regional theologate, which serves the 5 dioceses of Orissa. In the year 1999, I was elected the Provincial Superior of this province, Eastern Indian Province of the Society. After completion of my term in the year 2005, I handed over to my successor, and my provincial and the Bishop of Rourkela, then Most Reverend Alphonse Bilung SVD, they appointed me parish priest in a parish called Rajgangpur town parish and the cement town in the diocese of Rourkela, and I was there 9 months as parish priest. And on January 29th, 2006, then Apostolic Nuncio to India, Pedro Lopez Quintana, consulted me on behalf of the Holy Father to be appointed and consecrated as the co-adjutor bishop of Rourkela to Most Reverend Alphonse Bilung SVD. And on April 19th, Wednesday, I was consecrated co-adjutor bishop by His Eminence Cardinal Telesphore Topo of Ranchi. I remained co-adjutor bishop for 3 years in this diocese of Catholic Diocese of Rourkela, and 2009 April 2nd I took over the responsibility of the diocese as the bishop of the diocese of Rourkela. I remained in the office as the bishop of Rourkela for 2 years, and in the year 2011, again on April 2nd, I took over the responsibility of the archdiocese as the Archdiocese of Cuttack Bhubaneswar in same state of Orissa, which has got 5 dioceses, and now I am in my 2nd year of the office as the Archbishop of Cuttack Bhubaneswar.
You must have you were in charge first of all as a vice provincial, and then eventually the provincial of the order, the Divine Word Fathers, the SVD, which is the letters for in Latin for the society, and then after that became a coadjutor bishop, sort of the assistant bishop to take over from the other bishop. And I'm sure that's not exactly a canonical term, but so is it any more difficult to be a vice provincial to a order to being archbishop of a large diocese and having 5 other bishops depending on you?
If we, humanly speaking, and look at the responsibility and the succession that came into my life, I must say it is difficult. But I have learned from my parents, lovely parents, that it is God who blesses us. And I come from a very rural, simple village setup, and I have learned to trust in God. And it is not me, but it is He who appoints me, because my background, seeing my background, experiencing my situation, it is only God who has made me. So I always depended on the blessings of God, and I tried to do my best. And I can only say, though it was difficult, though it was hard, though people said that how you manage, but I had no regrets, and I have enjoyed till today all the responsibility given to me.
Now you mentioned that your father and your parents were tribals. They basically, we might say in our language, in North American context, they were farmers. Is that it?
Yes.
And that they cultivated the soil, and they sold the produce. They of course fed them. They're a family of 8 children, and but they sold the rest to get other necessities. And is there? I mean, our Lord compares the to the apostles becoming fishers of men, and He also gives examples from farming as well. So, have you found your earlier experience has helped you to I've seen Francis de Sales talks about examples from the birds and from flowers and so forth. Do you find that your early experience helps you to govern the men, even from very, shall we say, sophisticated in the city and so forth?
Yes, because I was a very hard-working boy, because I have seen my parents struggling, because we were poor.
Yes.
And I always got up early morning to plow the fields, and my father, my grandfather, they will sow the seed, and we'll plow then with the bullocks and bullock. And it was very interesting, and it was very enriching, especially when I grew and heard the parable of the sower.
Yes.
And the reality when I saw my father, my grandfather sowing the seed, and I plowing the field, it was something very enlightening. And also when we prayed at home every evening, all the children with the parents and the grandfather, it was so empowering. And when they were sharing with us their life experiences, their faith experiences, and especially these kind of examples of the sowing of the seed, those examples were touching me.
Yes.
And always there was an inner feeling, what should I be? Should I become a priest? That kind of feeling always remained and it grew in me.
Yes.
And it was, as a farmer, I have learned, especially the sower's parable.
Yes.
Has touched me.
Yes. Well, God touches us and teaches us by also what something is more important. He wants us to learn a certain lesson, so He may touch us more closely to impress upon us the message. Certainly, it's a mystery. After all, you have a little seed you put in the ground, and sometime afterwards you have this big plant fruit or vegetables with it and so forth. It's how is it that God puts all that in that little seed? But obviously, but we'll have to ultimately. We, as St. Paul says, I planted, Apollo waters, but God gave the increase. So,
Yes.
and of course, you see that we are all in the hands. But today, people seem to think that I'm important, I'm in charge, I don't need to anybody else. But really, all of us, whether we're farming or fishermen or in the city or whatever, we're all dependent on God. But it's more, shall we say, it's more evident or more easy to see for the person that's sowing the seed. Then the rest is in God's hands after that.
That's it.
So you mentioned about your mother and father being very very pious, very hardworking, but also hard believing, if we might say. They taught you the faith as well, especially to trust in God. Your grandfather was Catholic too, was he not? But before that, they were not Catholic.
I have only heard that they were not Catholics, and my grandfather onwards, and I only have heard that he worked with the missionaries, and he became a kind of catechist.
Oh yes.
Catechist, going around with the priests and
Yes.
helping them to be the middleman
Yes.
for the people and the priests. So that way he got more involved, and he was very committed to the prayer. And though he had very little time for home,
Yeah.
he spent most of the time with the priests and missionaries. Because of that, my family also was poor, because
Yes.
there was no hard working. But my father, a hard working man,
Yes.
he brought the family very high up.
Yeah. Now you're talking about the missionaries, that the missionaries, especially from there's a Jesuit missionary from Holland who was Belgium,
Flemish
and
part.
Flemish part, and he helped to convert the people. And why was he so successful?
Actually, around last part of the
1880 something.
85.
Okay.
Those are the years when first Jesuit missionary. Those days it was called Ranchi Mission. To make the story little short, Ranchi Mission and Jesuits, and the main one was Father Constant Levens.
Yes.
A young man, Jesuit Flemish, came to this land and visited the tribals, because I myself am a tribal man. So visited the tribals and discovered their difficulties and concerns, and he realized that these people need missionaries' support and accompaniment. First thing, the land problem. As the tribals believed that God is the giver of everything, they cannot possess, because this is a gift like land, air, water, all this. And the tribal as such, those days they were hunters, so they would clean and cultivate farmers. So they would clean a part of jungle, sow seed, and then as it grows, and they will also hunt and collect food from the jungle. And then if that particular plot doesn't produce good fruit, good crop, then they move to another place, and so that way they never possessed. But in course of time, law changed, situation changed, and then there was people started owning up the land, but the tribals, because of their understanding and because of the faith in God, they lost. So this particular man, Constant Leven, a Jesuit missionary, realized the difficulties of the poor, learned the law of the land, learned the language of the people, and fought cases against the landowners for the tribals, and he succeeded.
Yes.
And then second one was, missionaries talked about the unconditional love of God, and that touched the people, because they were worshipping and they were believing in the spirits, and because of the spirit, because they believed that every creation has the spirit, and all this spirit support and help the human being. So if there is a good thing in life, spirits are all happy. Something happens, a sickness or death or failure or all this, because due to the unhappiness of the spirit. And so they had to discover which spirit is unhappy and where it is and what has to be done. So this was a huge problem, and that made the life of the tribals miserable. But when these missionaries started talking about God's unconditional love, who is the supreme, who has the all-powerful, then they realized these spirits cannot do much beyond the supreme God. So they accepted God's love and became part of this whole family. Because tribals as such, they live in community. Once the leader of the community accepts the faith, the whole community accept the faith. And they were so happy because they realized and recognized the love of God through these missionaries. And also not only just love, but it was manifested. They helped them to build up the schools, build up the hospitals, build up the dispensaries, and these people children could come to the school, they could be taken care of their health, and then developmental activities through the assistance, they could build up a good house. These were the things that made them realize that really they belong to this family where there is love, care. And also, as they were neglected by government and all other people, these made them realize the dignity of human being. They said, all of us human beings are children of God. There is no up and down. You also are part of God's family. You are also a dignified person. These kind of love, caring, understanding made them what they really wanted to be. So because of all this, which were missing in the locality by other people, by other caste, tribals experience. And with this experience, they flocked and accepted the Christianity, which made them human beings, gave them dignity of human beings, and made them come up in life.
Yes. So and you saw the example obviously of this missionary and his assistants, of course, and his associates, that he gave his life to learn your language. Mm-hmm. He gave his life to learn your laws, and then recognized the injustice that, after all, the tribals had cleared the land, had sown it, but they went somewhere else to look for a better land, because for them the whole land was not owned, but all the tribals owned it. But then the people came from outside. This land was already cleared, so they could then take this land. They didn't have to work at clearing it, and then say, well, you didn't file for ownership, so we'll take it. So there was a great injustice going on there, and he was able to correct that. But also day to day, teaching the children, giving them medical assistance and so forth. They could see that he didn't just speak about God's love, he lived it himself, and he explained the teaching behind it, which also you could also understand both by example and by words, that these spirits. I mean, every tree had a spirit. Mm-hmm. So if every tree had a spirit, then you had to please the spirit of that tree by some sort of sacrifice, or the water or anything like that. So you had hundreds, if not thousands, of, so to speak, little gods to please. You had no time for doing anything else after a while. And so obviously it becomes much simpler and, of course, much more wholesome, which is because it's the true religion, the Catholic faith. And so so that's why, and they could see that. They weren't, unlike religions that had been established and with lots of stuff going on, they didn't have a lot of difficulty to accept it, because it was clearly the right one, and the other one, in comparison, was clearly wrong. So, as a result, then, but the faith as St. James says, that the poor have a greater gift of faith than the rich people do, mm-hmm. And so you experience that in your own life. That's
true. And missionaries, we saw them dying for us, yes. Loving us not just in a invisible way, but very tangible way. Yes. And another reason was tribals never could get money, cash in hand, but they could get all other products, paddy or fruits and all. So for them to get money, and these rich people gave them money for any other purpose, because later on barter system, exchange for things did not work. Always business and everything was done by money. These people gave them loan and made them bonded labor.
Oh, I see.
So these things were missionaries helped them to come out of all these bondages.
Yes, so they became slaves because they lent them money and they said, you didn't pay me back, so now you owe me more, and I'll take your house, I'll take whatever. Mm-hmm. Yes. So now you mentioned tribals, but it's they're called tribals because they live on the land. They're the original settlers in the country. Is that correct?
Actually, we believe that we are original settlers, but now we are tribal term is given by someone else.
I see.
But we love to be called original settlers. Adivasi means people who are there from the origin, from the beginning. So we love to be called Adivasis. But this tribal scheduled tribe, this is given for a purpose, that we are scheduled, we are set apart for a purpose, so that because seeing the situation and the poverty and all, we could be assisted by some generosity which is not actually true, because we also are part of the land and we have the equal right and authority as anyone else.
Yes.
But then to help us, so they say, because of their generosity, which is not, we don't like at all.
Yeah.
We need to be given the due respect as Adivasi original settlers.
Yes.
So that's the way we love to be.
Is that, for example, maybe it's too hard to talk about here in the question, but is India, like Italy, had many different peoples and groups invading the land to sort of take over, and of course they would then, as in Britain, they would drive them to the parts that they didn't want. So they ended up being mostly in the forests and the jungles.
Exactly, this is what also in India, Dravidians were settled there in India, and Aryans came and invaded and pushed these Dravidians to the forest.
I see.
So that story practically is same everywhere.
I see. So in turn, it's nevertheless that some of the missionaries did not realize how ready for the faith that the original peoples, that the tribals were ready for it. But this missionary understood that your group of people were ready, and that with a little bit of help they would accept the gospel very easily.
That's true. That's why this mission and this faith is also said success story of the missionaries. Very success story of the missionaries.
And so now there are 23 bishops of the.
Now, of course, in the office we are 16, but all together.
Yes.
Because many are gone to the Father's kingdom, and some of them are emeritus retired, but 16 of us are in the office now.
I see.
Tribals,
yes.
And one is
a
cardinal,
yes.
and I am the 5th Archbishop from among the tribals.
Oh, very good, very good. So, in turn, you're able to understand your people better only because you have the experience from a little boy onwards to. But you've not only been in the tribals, you've also, not only been in the villages, you've also been in the big cities as well. You went to Rome as well to study there.
Yeah, I studied liturgy in Rome, St. Anselmo for 3 years. I came in the year 1990 to Rome and returned 1993.
Yes.
So I had that privilege and opportunity.
Yes, and today there's more vocations in your state in Orissa than anywhere else. Is that correct?
Yes, especially where I am born. That part mostly the tribals live. Jharkhand, these are the states: Jharkhand, Orissa, Chhattisgarh. That area is called Greater Jharkhand, where mostly these plain tribes like me, Oraon, Munda, Kariya, Kisan, these are the tribal groups, those who have accepted mostly Christ. These people live, and now it is a flourishing, vibrant church, and great number of vocations coming now from this part of the country where these tribals live.
And is there some, why would that be more? Is it that they're more there? For example, you mentioned that Kerala used to have many vocations or had more vocations. And is it, do you know why there are more vocations now among the tribals?
Yes. As it is, we live in the rural villages, and families are still large, and it is more of a united families, and where there is simplicity of life and there is faith.
Yes.
Kerala once upon a time had the high number of vocations, but as it has developed, families have become smaller, and they are as family becomes smaller and nuclear family, naturally they don't want to send, and boys and girls due to varieties of possibilities they don't want to join either. But when there is a larger family and also the faith in the family and the guidance of the parents, surely that affects the family, that affects the children, and vocation grows. So I believe these are the reasons. And
I think you must be right. I mean, you thought about it much more than I have, but it makes perfect sense to me. And so I see we're not going to have much more time on this program, but what is it that you would recommend for vocations in other parts? Is without, I mean, of course, every situation is a little different, but obviously recommending that people. I think that one thing is that the bishops in the West have not spoken against contraception very much, and they don't realize that it affects not only large families, but it affects how people's sense of faith and trust in God's providence. I don't know, you might want to say something about this in general.
Yeah, when talking about the vocation, first of all, vocation is a gift of God.
Yes.
And God gives to all those who are willing to receive. And if we, may it be Pope, may it be Archbishop, may it be Cardinal, or simple faithful, all of us should be related to God. Yes. And if we are related, means we will not hurt other person. If God loves us, we should be also able to love him. Yes. If God loves other person, we should be also be able to love other person. And when we love, there is a relationship between God and me and my people. I will not think of destroying and disturbing. I believe today's world somehow that aspect is missing. And that's why we do not want to see the value and dignity of human person. All that we are just saying contraceptives or abortion or any other inhuman relationship, those things for me it pains. Because that if it is not a divine law and this doesn't come in the direction of God's love and human love, if we are going against, surely that blessing that is supposed to flow in us will be. It is we who block the blessings from God. And naturally, when we are not receiving blessings, we will not grow. We will not grow into divinity. We will not grow into holiness. And surely we will be captured with the other power, which seem to be looking more today powerful.
Yes, the other power. We will talk with His Excellency Archbishop Barwa on another program. And I'd like to thank you very much for being with us. And remember to pray the Rosary every day. Asking Our Lady's intercession helps us to be more open to God and to God's blessings. And by doing that, we will experience God's love, and also we will love our neighbor better and love ourselves better, and ultimately, of course, love God more. Pray the Rosary every day. God bless you.